What's going on, guys? Tyler here, back with another Elementor video, and in today's video we are talking about the sticky transparent header, which will basically stick to the top of the page, allow you to put it over top of anything on your page and scroll when you scroll down on the page. Now, if you guys like today's video, be sure and drop a like so this video gets boosted in the YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I really appreciate you stopping by. Be sure and smash that nice red looking subscribe button. Join the family and be notified of upcoming videos just like this one. Now guys, today's video is very easily done with Elementor Pro, but don't worry, Elementor free users, you should also be able to do this. If you guys don't know how to design a header using the Elementor free version, be sure and check back on my last video. I'll go ahead and link a card up right here. Check on that and see how you can get a header and footer designed with Elementor free, starting with the Hello Theme 2.4. Now with Elementor Pro users, this is very easily done, and I'm going to show you exactly how this all works. Now, if you guys are an Elementor free user, you may consider upgrading to Elementor Pro. Not only can you make custom headers and footers, but you can also add a whole variety of elements and widgets to your page. It makes your website much more customizable and allows you to really add that extra style to your website that you're looking for. Now, if you want to go ahead and get your hands on Elementor Pro, you can check out that link down below in the description and see what kind of price you can get for it. I really think you will be surprised. It is a very good price for a drag and drop page builder. Alright guys, with no further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my website here and take a look at this effect. Now I want to show you a few different things here. This is my website right here, and I've gone ahead and just dragged in a default Elementor header here. It is for the Flair Hair and Beauty, so we're pretending we have a beauty salon page right here. But the first thing I want to show you is how this header right up here is transparent. You can see the background right through the header. The other thing is it's sticking to the top. Now that's actually really important because as I scroll, you can see this header actually moves with the page. Now the cool thing about that is if you really want to draw attention to maybe something here on your menu, or maybe you have like this book now button up here at the right corner, you want them to have access to that at any point, so they can go ahead and click book now at whatever point they are scrolling on the page and they're sold. So this is a very nice feature. I highly recommend it, and I think it looks really nice as well. But here's an added feature that I want to show you that I using Elementor Pro and the amazing features that come with it, I'm going to show you that I think this is a really cool effect. Watch when I come off of this background image and scroll down past it. You'll see as soon as I come past it, we get this pink bar that comes up and creates like this background effect for my now header. So we now have this header with this pink background, like semi-transparent background, that is there to kind of show and create that contrast between the header and the text or the content that is behind it. Now when this effect takes place in real time, it's actually very fluid, and it just works really well. It just has this nice soft transition, and I'm actually going to show you how to make this little kind of transition effect happen using Elementor Pro. Of course guys, if you're interested in upgrading Elementor Pro, be sure and check out that link down below. But I'm going to go ahead and break this video up into 3 different parts. The first part that we'll be discussing is how to create a header with a transparent background. The second part that we'll be talking about is how to create this transparent header but make it stick to the page, because we want it to actually stick, I guess technically stick to the window, because as we scroll down we don't want it to be on the page going up with the page. We want it to be attached to the window, so that when the window moves down and the page is being scrolled up, it is also staying there so you can click on it at any time. And then the last part of this video will be actually showing you how I made that semi-transparent pink background for this sticky header. Alright guys, so first things first, we're going to want to go into the back end of our WordPress website, and what we're going to do is hover over here on the left under templates. We're going to click on Theme Builder, and from here we're going to go ahead and create a new header. And by doing this, we're going to click header right here and go up to the top where the add new button is. Click on that and go ahead and create a header. We want to go ahead and type in a name here and then click create template. From there, it's actually going to go ahead and ask you what template you would like to use. Elementor Pro has a bunch of different header templates that you can choose from. You can even make your own and start from scratch, but go ahead and design the header however you would like, and then come back to the next step. We're going to start working with the transparency. And if you guys need help designing your header, I actually have videos I've put out on my channel about that. So click on that card up top if you need help designing or knowing how to kind of create and put together your header. You can definitely check out that video. But once you're done with that, let's go back over here to my website and we'll go into the header that we've created here. Now what we need to do is actually get this header to not have a background. All right, now if your header has a background color, or to check if your header has a background color, we're going to want to click up here and then go over to style, and then we'll look down here for color. Again, we're under the background section. If there's an image, you'll want to remove that image. If there's a color selected, as you can see right here, there's nothing really selected here. We have this color right here, but since it is semi-transparent completely, it doesn't really matter. This is your transparency slider right here. We want to bring this all the way down, and you can put the color basically anywhere, but just make sure your transparency slider is all the way down so it is a completely transparent background. The other thing that might work if you're having issues with that is you can click this clear button right here, and this should remove the color completely and leave you with a completely transparent background. So at this point, there should be elements on your header, but no background color. Now the thing we need to do is go ahead and define a height for this header. So if we go over to layout, we can switch the height over here from default to minimum height, and we need to go ahead and set up a minimum height. Now you can set this to whatever size you need it. For me and this example, we'll be setting this minimum height to 80. And from there, what we need to do is go over to advanced, and we need to bring our bottom margin up by the amount of minimum height that we just set. So in my case, I'm using 80, so I would set a margin on the bottom of -80. But say for example, you set a minimum height of 100, you would use a margin of -100. And basically all that's telling Elementor is to start the content underneath of your header right at the top of the page, not starting it below your header. So that margin is basically just pushing the content up underneath your header. The next important thing to do is make sure your Z index is set to a high number. It doesn't really matter the number as long as it's a very high number. For this case, Elementor used 9,995. So that sounds like a good number. And that's pretty much it, guys. Go ahead and click update here or publish, and when it comes up with the display options here, you want to make sure it's included on the page that you want it to be displayed on. If not, you can also click entire site or anything like that so it's displayed in all the conditions that you want it displayed on. Again, if you need more information or help on that, you can go back to that header video on my channel. But let's go ahead and take a look at our page now and see what it looks like. All right, guys, I've gone ahead and designed this page, and obviously your pages and content will look differently than this, but if you did everything correctly, this is what we should have. We should have the header up at the very top, and we should have our content starting right up at the very edge of the page so that when you scroll, you can see clearly there's some kind of transparency and your content or your background image or whatever it is on your page is coming through your header, and you're getting that transparency effect. All right, now part 2 is we need to make this sticky, because obviously when we scroll down, if that's the effect you're going for, then great, you're done. If you're looking for a sticky effect so the header actually sticks to the window as we scroll down, then we'll need to go back over to the header settings, and what we'll do is go ahead and click advanced. We'll go down to motion effects, and then we'll click sticky, and we want the sticky set to top. That will stick it basically to the top of the window. You can go ahead and leave these right here, and again, if you need to make adjustments for tablet or mobile, you can do that right from here. The offset is going to be the distance from the top that it is actually stuck. So if we had a larger offset, it would be stuck further down, maybe more in the middle of the page. We want to go ahead and leave that just at 0 because we've designed our header with a little bit of padding so we don't have the actual logo being pushed right up to the edge of the page. So if you've designed a nice, good looking header, then you won't have to worry about this offset or the effects offset. set, we're ready to go ahead and update, and we'll go back to our page and refresh. And if everything worked correctly, we should now have a transparent and sticky header. So let's go ahead and see how that worked. And there we go, everything's loaded. Let's go ahead and scroll, and yes, we have that transparent and sticky header. So congrats guys, you've successfully created a transparent and sticky header. And if that was your only goal for this video, you are basically done. There's not really much more to do, except that just beware that when you are scrolling down over content like text content, sometimes your menu can get a little bit jumbled. So you want to make sure you have something to kind of create that contrast so you can see the header off the page. And that's kind of why I created this next part. If you're interested in sticking with us, definitely take a look. It's not that hard to do. It may require Elementor Pro. I'm not totally sure if the Elementor free version can do this because there are motion effects involved, and I believe that's only an Elementor Pro feature. So if you guys are interested in upgrading to Elementor Pro, like I've mentioned before, check out that link down below in the description. But let's go ahead and just jump back in and take a look. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is actually scroll all the way down to the bottom of your page and click add a new section. We're going to go ahead and choose a single column section, and we need to go over here on the left to layout and switch the content width under the layout menu to full width. Then we'll go over and hit the style tab, and we're going to go ahead and select a color. Now this is the color that we're actually going to be using for the background of your header, or what we're simulating to be the background of your header. I went ahead and chose this kind of pinkish color because I thought it matched well with the button. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in this color code. That color right there is actually the same color that is on my button right here. I thought it kind of went together, kind of made a cool theme looking kind of design with that header. So what we're going to do is go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and leave it at full transparency if that's what you're going for, if you want your header to appear on this full transparency. But what I went ahead and did is drop the transparency a little bit. I want to kind of see, you know, how it looks if it's not fully transparent. I want it to kind of have that, you know, semi-transparent look. Now the next thing we need to do is go back to layout. Now we need to set the minimum height to the same height that we set for our header. So if we go over here to height, if we hit minimum height and switch it, I used 80 pixels. Again, it depends on what you guys set for your header height, your minimum height, but I used 80 pixels in the first step. So go ahead and figure out what that was and then set that to the same exact amount. So once you have the minimum height set, the next thing is we can go ahead and make this sticky so we can kind of look at it and see how it looks with our header. What we're going to do is go over to the advanced tab here, again still in this same section, settings. We'll go over to advanced, we'll click on motion effects, and then we'll click sticky and set it to top. Now what we need to do is, because obviously it's not sticky yet because it never touches the top of my page when I'm actually scrolling, what we need to do is go over here to navigator, and you can access that right down here at the bottom left hand corner. It looks like 3 little squares stacked on top of each other. If you click on that, you can actually drag this section all the way to the very top of the page. Now when we do that, you can see we get this kind of like sticky color that is up there at the very top of the page, and we can actually take a look and see how it looks. Do we like that transparency? Would it be better if we switch the transparency to, you know, maybe fully transparent? Does that look better, you know, if we switch it like that? No, I don't think so. I like, you know, maybe something like around, yeah, maybe that looks pretty good. Yeah, that's about what we had it, but I think that looks good right there. All right, guys, and one more important step here is to set this margin to a negative top margin. What we need to do is set this actual, again, we're in the section here for the background. We're going to go ahead and unlink these values so they're not connected. We're in advanced here. We'll go ahead and set this to a negative margin, and then we need to go ahead and set it to whatever the amount of minimum height we set for our header. We've used this number a lot. For example, mine was 80. So let's go ahead and set 80, and we need to set it to a negative margin. Make sure it's a negative margin and negative the amount that you set for the minimum height of the header. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we actually need this effect to kind of disappear for the first part of our page until we want it to appear. Now to do that using Elementor Pro is actually very, very simple. What we're going to do is go over to Advanced again with this section highlighted. And now we've got so many different sections up at the top here. You can probably use your navigator right here to go ahead and select which section that you're trying to adjust the settings for. And you can go ahead and click this little drop down to see what's in that section to know what is there. So right here we have one column and this column is empty. We know that is the section where we basically have no content there. So go ahead, click on that. We'll go over to Advanced. We'll go to Motion Effects, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click Scrolling Effects and turn this on. And I think this is the part that is only on Elementor Pro. So right here, what we're going to do is we need to go ahead and select Transparency. We'll go ahead and hit Edit here. We want it to fade in. That's very important. We want this effect or this section that has a semi-transparent background, we want it to fade in when we get to a certain spot on the viewport, which basically means the window. So what we're going to do is go ahead and find where that spot is on the viewport. As we scroll in, you can see we're slowly getting this to fade in. The more I go down, the more it fades in. The more I go up, the less it fades in. And that slow fade in is because it's starting the fade in process right here at 20% and ending the fade in process, meaning it should be to the full fade in completed at 80%. So if we drop this down, you can see now when we scroll down, the fade in process is a lot faster. The actual time that it takes for it to fade in is a lot smaller and it fades in a lot faster. So what we basically need to do is just trial and error, go through and find where this actual point, because I want it to start right about here. We want to go ahead and find where this actual point is that we can actually start the fade in process. So I'm going to go through and just pull. We're going to use the left one. We're going to keep the right one close to the left one because we want the process to be quick so we can actually see where it happens. But we're just going to keep testing and just keep scrolling and see, okay, it started a little bit too early there. So let's go ahead and move this down a little bit. We'll move this down. Okay, let's try, like 46%, 47%. Perfect. We can keep the right one close to it. Scrolling. Oh, nope, it was too late, right? Because it should have happened a lot earlier. So, okay, it's not there. So I know where it is just because I've tested this. I think it's right around about 38%. And then I go ahead and bring my right one in just about till it's about 2% different, right? So we bring this down maybe about 40, right? So we have 38% on the left and 40 on the right. Again, your percentages will be different based on your own website and window. Oh, looks like I'm a little too early. So let's go ahead and just adjust it a little more, maybe 40 and 42. Let's try that. Oh, still a little bit early. We can bring this just 42 and 45, 40. Perfect. That looks great. Okay, perfect. Now you can see what we're doing is as soon as we get to 40, I think it's 42% of the viewport. Once we get 42% of the way through the viewport, you can see this effect starts happening. And that's exactly what we want to happen. And again, you could put this for anywhere on the screen. If you wanted it to start as soon as it gets below the button, or as soon as it gets below this section of content, or as soon as you start scrolling down the page, or however you want, you can go ahead and set this. Now, again, the level of fade in is going to be kind of like where it starts to the full, like, do you want the full fade in process or do you only want some of the fade in to happen? We want a 10 because we want the full fade in process. So again, that's that effect right there. And just to point out real quick, guys, maybe you're having some kind of stacking issues. Maybe your background, semi-transparent background, is not stacking in the right order. What you're going to do is go ahead and click Z-index and set that to a Z-index number of less than what your header was, but more than what your background image is. So for me, I know my header was set to 9,995, so I can go ahead and set this one to, let's say, 3. Perfect. And that'll work. As we scroll down, we can see, yep, it pops up perfectly and it's working. So that's it, guys. We're pretty much done with the effect. Let's go ahead and update and see how it looks. All right, guys, and take a look at this. This is the final effect, and look at that. It is working just like we anticipated. That fade in comes exactly right after the image, just like that. And we have this transparent and sticky header. All right, guys, I hope that helps you be able to design a transparent sticky header with even that fade in effect of a semi-transparent background. I really think it is a cool effect and it could definitely work well for your website. Again, if you're trying to adapt this to tablet and mobile, you may need to make some small adjustments and tweaks to individual tablet and mobile settings. And again, if you don't know how to do that, check out, I have another video about how to make individual device setting adjustments. Go ahead and click that card up top and you will be able to make those adjustments for tablet specifically and mobile specifically. And guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Again, if you liked this video, be sure and click that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And you can be notified of upcoming videos just like this one. All right, guys, make it a very successful week and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.